Battle Lake, Minnesota. On May 5th, Augie Olofsson was abducted while eating a package of Twinkies. 2 days later, Margaret Kelgard similarly disappeared while driving home from the grocery store with a couple of ho-hos. The very next day, Margaret's husband, Niels, also vanished with a donut in his mouth and 2 more in his stomach. He had just left the police station after reporting Margaret missing. Altogether, the 3 weighed over 1,000 pounds. Big bones. Nearly a year later, when those bones were found, dumped unceremoniously in a heap just 50 feet from the statue of Chief Wanoga, the remaining flesh was remarkably fresh-looking. In fact, it appeared as if the 3 had been alive up until a day or so before they were discovered. But something had burrowed into their bodies and eaten them from the inside. It wasn't blowflies. Okay, the next scene. 162 pounds, 7.5 ounces. Dale Koff pronounced each word distinctly, somberly, conveying some sort of urgency apparently felt from the recitation of the autopsy report. Koff, Sergeant Koff, of the Otter Tail Sheriff's Department, was in charge of the investigation of the 3 formerly obese missing persons since its inception. 162 pounds, 7.5 ounces, he repeated. Koff was discussing the case over a couple of glicks at the Grey Goose Inn with Scotty MacDonald, a recent newcomer to the mostly Scandinavian community of Battle Lake. MacDonald, once divorced, mid-50s and graying gracefully, had been a private detective before early retirement, working cases mostly in the sparsely populated regions of the States and Canada. Big-time cases in these areas were rare, but so were trained investigators when some baffling crimes was committed. Baffling crimes over a large enough area were frequent enough to make MacDonald a sought-after consultant for rural law enforcement, and he charged accordingly. He bought a nice farmhouse and 80 acres a few miles from town and retired at the age of 52. He and Sergeant Koff were drinking buddies, fishing buddies, and hunting buddies. They also worked on cases together, and Koff never tired of telling others of MacDonald's uncanny sleuthing abilities. They became known as Holmes and Watson, a pair of monikers the 2 wore with pride. But the Olofsson-Kjellgaard case had them both, well, baffled. "Hey, Ole, couple more glicks over here," Koff hollered over the Friday night crowd that was growing larger by the minute. Friday, for many of the locals, was the end of the work week, payday, and fish fry night. Most folks brought their kids with them, who entertained themselves by running around all over the place, making makeshift games of tag and adding to the din that made a Friday fish fry the glorious occasion that it was. The glicks arrived, foam oozing over the tops of the frosty 12-ounce mugs as Ole slid them onto the Formica bar. "You guys gonna order fish?" Ole asked as he fisted the $5 Koff dropped on the bar. "Just bring me a perch sandwich and fries. How about you, Scotty?" "Sounds good to me, but skip the fries and give me a side of rings." "Be up in about 10 minutes, boys," Ole said. "Big crowd tonight." "Big crowd every night," Koff remarked as Ole turned away. He hoisted his beer and took a long draw, draining nearly half the glass. He set it down with a thud. "Oofta," he grunted. "Tastes too good. So, Scott, what do you think? 162 pounds, mostly fat and bones, Doc Hoka says. All the meat was eaten away." "That was Niels Kjellgaard, right?" Scotty asked. "How much did he weigh before he was abducted?" Doc looked it up. Turns out he was in for an exam just 6 weeks earlier. He was 362 pounds in his work boots. He was a big man, no doubt. "How long did Doc say he's been dead?" "Couple days." "You think it was liposuction?" "Reverse liposuction. Instead of removing fat, it took the meat. Fat was nearly all that was left, that and the bones, according to the autopsy report." "Has he finished the autopsies on the other 2 victims?" Dale looked across the room and stood up, waving his arm. "Let's ask him. He and Jenny just came in." Dr. Lawrence Hoka and his wife Jenny joined them at the bar, and after a round of drinks were set down, they engaged in a few minutes of general small talk. Mabel Sorensen whistled over to Jenny, and she excused herself to have a few words with her friend. "So, Doc, I read and reread the report on poor Niels. Did you get a chance to check out the other 2? "Not yet, Dale. Friday's my day to go help up at Elbow Falls. But I did take a quick peek, and it looks like the same thing with the others as Niels." "Any idea what could have caused it?" Scotty asked. "I mean, was it a disease or some sort of animal? Monster flesh-eating bacteria?" "I've thought of that possibility myself," Doc sighed. "A bacteria with a low-fat diet. I'm taking tissue samples and sending them out to the lab in St. Paul. But at this point, I'm not sure what we're dealing with. Might be a good idea to keep a lid on things until we have a better idea as to what we're dealing with." "Don't worry about that," Dale assured him. But Sam Slate expects to pick up the bodies early next week, and he's never kept a secret for more than a week in his life. Better have a good story for him to pass on. Well, Scotty mused, the victims have been missing for about a year. Tell them they were preserved in an airless environment of some sort. We don't know yet, but we're looking into it. Naturally, they lost a lot of body mass. You know, give them some of that old doctor talk, hocus pocus pig Latin. Might work, Doc replied, draining his gimlet. Pig Latin, eh? Uh-oh, irhe umske the issus me. That's the thing, Scotty said as they all laughed as Jenny rejoined them. Ole refilled their glasses and took their orders. Not joining us, Jenny asked. No, we just ordered some perch sandwiches. Got a lot of stuff to do the first thing in the morning. Oh, she said knowingly. Augie and Niels and Maggie, I suppose. Yeah, Dale replied. Pretty much. Then there's a break, and this is Scotty McDonald, which is what I call a place name, by the way. I haven't got his real name figured out yet. He's talking to somebody, but I don't know who. Yes. There is a place up north in the backwoods. It's an odd little cemetery. All the bodies are buried with their left arms out of the ground. It's very eerie, what with neat little rows of skeletal bones punching out of the ground. They allow that? Can't do nothing about it. It's on a private estate. How did you ever find about it? Well, even weirdos have to eat. The kid delivering pasties and pizza took the wrong turn and got lost on the grounds. It was dark and just a little foggy, and he got out of the truck to have a closer look at what he thought was a sign. Next thing he knew, he saw the arm bones glistening in the darkness. He went closer for a better look and shit his pants up to his knees. He was so scared he couldn't even scream, but somehow he was able to get his legs moving. He jumped back into his truck and U-turned it back out the gate and he came in. Never did deliver them pizzas.